There are places where history hides in plain sight, where the land itself remembers quietly. Not in castles or cathedrals, but in shallow scars, lost lines, forgotten experiments. High on this wind-lashed fell, just south of Cockfield village, there is a faint groove in the land, barely visible in the grass. On Google Earth, it barely stands out. Old maps show it only vaguely, as if unsure as to what it is. LiDAR faintly shows a thin, deliberate trench sliced across the hill. It doesn't look like much. No stonework, no iron, no plaque. But this right here might just be one of Britain's first experiments in industrial transport. What kind of ambition leaves behind something like this? Not a monument in stone, but a question half buried. Who were the people who tried to change the world from a quiet hill in County Durham? And why did we forget them? This is Rails and Revolutions. The history that built us, the forces that shaped us. By the mid-1700s, the fells beneath my feet were already whispering stories of toil and hope. Coal had long been wrestled from the earth here. Bow pits, collapsed shafts, heaps of spoil and weathered drift tips, marking the scars of countless hands. This wasn't just any coalfield. Many believe it to be the oldest continuously worked coalfield in the world. A place where human ambition burned as deep as the seams below. But digging coal was only half of the battle. Moving it over rutted tracks across unreliable rivers was slow, costly, and precarious. The lifeblood of industry was trapped, chained by the limits of old ways. So here, on this wind-battered ridge, someone dared to imagine something new. To lift coal not on backs or hooves, but on water, smooth, steady, and strong. They dug a test canal, a fragile ribbon etched into the land. It was not just a ditch, it was a bold promise, a whispered revolution waiting to rise. I came up here expecting sheep, silence, maybe some old pits, but not this. A 100-yard channel, half swallowed by time. No deep water, no boats, just a hollowed out line in the earth. But in the 1760s, this ditch held the promise of transformation, a radical idea buried in mud and ambition. Over 250 years ago, this was a vision for the future, a testbed for an idea that eventually changed everything. Before the railways, before even the Canal boom, before the Industrial Revolution really took hold. It's the 1760s. The northeast is rich in coal, but getting it out is a problem. Roads are muddy, rivers are unreliable, and pack horses just can't keep up. Enter George Dixon, an engineer, coal viewer, and big thinker. He and his backers, the Brownrigg brothers, had an idea. Cut a canal across the fell, link it to the River Gornless, and from there, possibly, open a new route to the River Tees. But before all that, they needed proof that it could work. So, here it is. A short section of a canal on a hill. This trench stretches barely 100 yards. Modest and unassuming, it was carefully shaped, lined and filled with water, and into it they launched a flat-bottomed boat. Not to carry coal, not yet, but to prove it could float here, and the canal would retain water on this hill, and that this place could one day move more than dreams. A dream that water could carry coal faster, cheaper, farther than any horse or cart ever could. That the wild windswept fowls could be tamed by human hands and vision. This was their laboratory, their experiment carved into the earth, a fragile hope quietly waiting to prove itself against time and nature. Though the experiment never grew into a bustling canal, this humble trench whispers of ambition and invention. The pulse of industrial revolution stirring beneath the surface.
No one told them to do it. There was no blueprint, no guarantee of eventual financial return. Just a hunch, a feeling that water could carry coal faster, cheaper, better. This isn't failure, it's the prototype of a revolution.
What drives a people to carve a channel into a lonely fell with no certainty of success, no promise but a possibility, a restless belief that the future could be different, better, that the water, patient and powerful, might carry the weight of industry and shape the fate of a nation. This humble test canal is a monument to that bravery, not one built of stone or steel, but of hope, vision, and the relentless human spirit. The Bridgewater Canal, often called Britain's first modern canal, opened in 1761. But Dixon's work here may have been concurrent or even earlier. He wasn't alone. Across Britain, ideas were bubbling. How to tame water, how to shape land to human purpose. Canals were more than transport. They were about control. And this little trench on Cockfield Fell, it's where that ambition touched the ground.
Cockfield Fell is no stranger to innovation. It's one of the best preserved industrial landscapes in Britain. Tramways, drift mines, bell pits. The canal wasn't an isolated idea, it was part of something bigger, a region straining towards the future.
But the Cockfield Canal never got built. The test was quietly abandoned. Its promise faded as challenges mounted. It wasn't just one problem, it was many. Cutting a canal into high, uneven fell country came with serious engineering hurdles. Maintaining a steady gradient across this wind-battered ridge would have required vast amounts of earth moving by hand. The fell offered no natural water source at that elevation. Keeping the channel full, especially in dry months, might have proved impossible. The ground itself, scarred by centuries of mining, could have made the trench unstable or unable to hold water. It was too soon, too difficult, and too alone. There was no proven model to follow, no tried and tested blueprint, just vision and a boat floating briefly on borrowed water. But even if the terrain could have been conquered, a bigger revolution was already underway.
As steam-powered railways began to emerge, their speed and power left the canals trailing in their wake. Tracks were faster to build, cheaper to maintain, and more forgiving of the landscape. They didn't need to hold water, only promise. And so the dream of waterborne coal transport on this fell gave way, not just to the limits of engineering, but to the unstoppable advance of the railway age.
So next time someone says the Industrial Revolution started in a boardroom or a bank in London, point them to here, to the fell, to the ditch, to the place where someone thought, what if we could cut through the land and use water to transport coal? If you believe stories like this matter, the ones carved into earth, remembered in silence and whispered through stone, help keep them alive. Like the video, share it with someone who knows these fells or someone who should. Subscribe for more stories from the places that shaped us, because heritage isn't just about what we've left behind. It's about what we carry forward. And if there's a bridge, a trench, or a forgotten dream on your doorstep, we want to hear about it.
The story of this region isn't over. It's still being written, one voice, one place, one memory at a time.